open to widen your focus from a narrow defensive protection of berries during harvest to being proactive, minimizing SWD in the landscape throughout the seasons. Pick in a timely fashion in all fruit crops, keeping the fruit picked, clean, and harvesting when the fruit is approaching ripeness can minimize outbreaks. It's essential. Regularly monitoring for larvae. Set up a system to monitor for larvae regularly to avoid these surprises. There's some folks working in repelling flies at the crop border. There's work done with essential oils. They were taking flakes, putting oil, peppermint oil, thymol, spraying them. You could see distributing them in the field. But I felt maybe a modest reduction of these flakes, as well as only 28 to 33% SWD. Again, each tool adds to the equation of minimizing. However, the oils had a very short life in the field. There's also work being done in Cornell where they're exploring the odors associated with dangerous microbes, because this fly doesn't like fruit that's decaying, unlike Drosophila melanogaster. There was work done with butyl and thranolate, and you might have saw this in the goodfruit.com out of Riverside. And this BA is found in low concentrations on fruit. It's used as a flavor and fragrance, and they found that also it is approved for human consumption. So when they changed the levels of BA, it greatly repelled SWD. So they launched a company, and I'm waiting to see where this takes us. There's 6 more summer methods. Exclusion netting, I brought this up before. It's probably a good thing for smaller scale farms. You could see here 80 grams per net versus 4 spray control. There are many great things about it. You're reducing pesticides completely. There's no fruit residue. You get a very good price for no spray. And there's kind of a 6-way protection. There's a woman here, Riggs, and I left her website because she'd be very happy to talk to you about the use of it, but they had no SWD, and it helped against birds, hail, rain, wind, etc. They use a Protect netting. It costs a lot, but do the math. Your yields can be increased, paying very close attention that you don't have too much humidity, possibly because it can affect microclimate. In this case here in New York, they got great production. Vacuuming up flies. Some people do it, some people don't like doing it. Vacuuming is something that was tried, I think, throughout California, but you're not in your beneficials. It sucks up berries. It's very labor intensive. Let's talk a little bit about sanitation. It's a preventative measure, and it's really the first line of pest control. Removal and destruction of infested fruit is essential, and I'm counting on researchers and growers to be innovative as to how they approach this and how good ideas and how to clean up. When berries fall to the ground, you could get at least this much survival. This is in the lab, the dark, and you could see this reduction in survival in the field. However, they are present, and we know how they can reproduce. Can you rake them, remove them, crush them? Clear plastic works great. Bagging. Look at the website at IPPC, and you'll see a lot of documents on the use of sanitation. And then the big question, I think we talked a little bit earlier on, was, do pupate remain in fruit? Or do pupate, perhaps, do they pupate and drop to the ground? They put these sleeves. This was just a really amazing thing. They saw the last instar of the larvae dropping out of the fruit, wandering through the soil, and pupating in the top around 3 inches through these sleeves. They recovered 90% of the pupae went to the ground. This is ones that went to the soil versus remaining, small percentage remained in the blueberries and raspberries. So the big question in Australia, they call it pupae busting, with light cultivation, reducing moisture, crushing, destroying the fruit. You do not want pupae on the ground, then breeding, I should say breeding, but then turning into flies and starting the cycle again. There were work also with the use of kaolin clay spraying on the ground to try to desiccate the pupae. I thought this was very interesting, the use of light. At this certain wavelength of visible blue light, they're lethal to the pupae. How about work using spraying Metarhizium, Bavaria, Spinosum? Well, there was actually no difference between the treatments. However, there was a reduction using Metarhizium. It costs a lot and they require moisture, and we're trying to reduce moisture to minimize SWD. So there's a little bit of a conflict there, but it's a thought. More testing needs to be done. Can we use insecticide impregnated strips placed on the rows? So when the larvae drop, the pupae hatch to adults, it kills them using this work that's done by Cornell? Or will it kill some of your great predatory insects? Cold treatment. You have now finished harvesting. What do you do with the fruit? If they sit there in warm conditions, they develop very fast and you will have impact on your fruit. If there's any way you can treat your fruit in the cold using temperatures depending on how your fruit does, like in blueberries, you could go down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. For as long a duration as you can, 3 to 8 days is best, that your eggs and your really early instar larvae are most so vulnerable to that cold treatment. Some people tell their U-pickers, keep me cold, for best quality, refrigerate. You can find these dark lines, and this is means, are the controls, and you can see these reduction after 24 hours, 48, and very few, 97% reduced by 7 days. Again, by just putting them in the freezer, you get a 3 to 4 day reduction in development time. SWD larvae won't hurt you. Enhance those biological controls. Here's a lacewing larvae. If you're going to start introducing parasitoids or predators, or just encouraging them out there, know which ones are the ground and plant dwelling predators that contribute to reductions. Look at the spider eating SWD. We saw ants all below the blueberry plants picking off pupae that were just eclosing into adults. Feeding on from yellow jackets to rove beetles, very short wing cases, minute pirate bugs. And work that was done by USDA and Corvallis saw larvae reduction by 20 to 34%. Just having the presence of beneficials out in your field. You probably heard that there's a lot of parasitoids that actually lay eggs in SWD larvae and pupae. Watch this body. This pupae is about ready to emerge to a fly, but with time something else is coming out. A parasitoid, a wasp. They only found about 3% parasitism in 2014, but that's growing as SWD establishes here. Parasitoids not only need SWD, they need a source of pollen, nectar, honeydew. Please refer to the PNW handbook for this information. Put together some landscape designs. Here's some great information on that. And now we are on the final of autumn.
If you enjoyed this webinar and support this kind of work, check out our website and consider supporting us for future such efforts.